Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on bjpenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Episode 41 for you. We got a really good lineup ahead of UFC Vegas 29 and Anderson Silva versus Julio Chavez Jr. on Saturday in Mexico as well. But we're first joined up by the legend himself, and Anderson Silva, to preview his fight, his boxing match against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We talk about how that came together, why he's interested in boxing, and what kind of win over Chavez Jr. does for his legacy. This is a guy that's a former boxing champion, fought the likes of Canelo Alvarez, and he's fought the who's who in boxing, a really big name. But this is a big fight for Silva, and Silva says in training, like, he's really starting to like boxing. You think boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, like he's kind of open, just doing different things. I think he said MMA's likely done, but he won't give that up for sure. And then we kind of touched on his career, like what his favorite leg moment was in his career. And we also touched on Chris Weidman's leg injury and what he told Chris Weidman. He actually talked after that happened, because a very similar situation happened to him. We're next joined up by one half of the main event of UFC Vegas 29 in Dan Ige to preview his fight against Korean Zombie. Obviously, Dan just recently became a father. You'll see his kid in the interview, but really good chat with Dan about wanting this fight, what a win over Zombie does for him, and getting another main event spot, and what that kind of means for him, because he obviously lost the first main event to Calvin Kattar on Fight Island on short notice, turn this thing around, become a legit top 5 guy, and make a run towards a title shot. We're then going to be joined by Matt Brown to preview his fight against Diego Lima. This is a solid fight. Obviously, Matt Brown coming off loss to Carlos Condit. He said that might have been it in our interview. Before the fight, they said this might be his last fight. He ends up sticking around. He kind of says the same thing. He doesn't really know when his retirement could be. He says every fight's his last. He would like to know heading into a fight that this is his last walk, but depending on his performances and depending on what happens, he thinks that he's not really ruling anything out. And he's on 2-fight lose streak. If he loses this, perhaps he's cut, and that kind of ends his career anyways. But this should be a great fight against Diego Lima. And we close things out talking to Aleksei Oleinik to preview his fight against Sergey Spivak. This really could be do or die for Oleinik, who turns 44 at the end of June. But this is a big fight. If Oleinik can get the win over Spivak, he still proves he's a top 15 guy, can still hang with some of the guys. But if he loses 3 losses in a row, and especially if he gets 3 finishes in a row, that could be the end for the Russian. But this is a guy that's in his 76th professional fight. He's kind of seen it all, and he knows that if this fight goes to the ground, he can submit anyone. So that's kind of what he's looking for in this fight. But really good chat with him, really good chat with all 4. But I hope you all enjoy the show. Be sure to share the show, subscribe, and thank you all for listening. All right, we're joined by former UFC middleweight champion, now professional boxer, Anderson Silva. Anderson, how's it going?
Good, and you?
I'm doing well. Obviously, big fight coming up here in less than, 10 days now against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Like, after your UFC release, like, was boxing something you were kind of interested in going into?
Well, it's amazing sport. Boxing is a traditional sport, and I'm lucky because I have this opportunity to fight boxing with the amazing name and the same card for Julio Cesar Chavez, and fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I'm so happy.
He's like obviously a big name in the sport, someone that's fought like Canelo Alvarez, Daniel Jacobs, like former WBC middleweight champion. Like, was this a guy you wanted, like one of the top guys right away?
I mean, of course, he's have a traditional in this sport. Is a champion award for long time, and is a good fighter.
What have you taken away of his recent fights? Because obviously he had the 2 losses in a row, but his last fight looked better than ever, getting that
Listen,
TKO
I don't pay attention in the loss or win. I just pay attention in my part and with my coach in training hard. I don't watch in the fight. I don't look everything behind the scene my opponent say. I just try to make my focus in my work.
Has it been difficult in training, not throwing any kicks or elbows or stuff like that?
No, it's completely easy.
How do you think you're going to fare in boxing? Because you were already one of the best strikers, if not the best
I
ever.
trained in box for many, many years. I fight amateur in Brazil. I fight professional. Of course, not the same level, but I don't have problem with the adaptation. And I try to enjoy the whole moment. I try to do my best, and I try to pass the good message for every single person watch me.
Is there anything you've kind of picked up or learned that different tendencies you have to do when you start boxing training, or now actually not obviously just starting boxing training, but for this fight compared to what you were doing in MMA training?
Oh, it's different, you know. It's a different training. In MMA, you need to training every single discipline, you know, in putting everything together. And the boxing is only one, you know, and I think it's hard because it's not about power or experience. It's about how much you learn the good technique for the fight, how much you work in your footwork, in your agility and reflex, you know. And box is more details.
You're obviously like your footwork was very impressive. Like, how much do you think that's going to benefit you now going to the boxing ring? Obviously, because you already know kind of how to move around and kind of avoid the
Wow,
shots.
it's tough. It's not easy, you know. But I try to do my best. I training hard every day for do my best.
How do you see this fight playing out? Because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. like still one of the best boxers in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's it. I told for everybody, you know, is a born in boxing, you know, is have a lot of experience, and that's a good challenge for myself. I don't need to prove nothing for anybody. I just go to enjoy my moment. Especially now, I can do everything. You know, fight jiu-jitsu, gi, no gi, kickboxing, wrestling, and everything. You know.
Or like obviously you want to win, but is more of the focus for you right now in your career is just having fun and doing things that excite you?
Yeah, every single moment when I go to fight, I try to enjoy. I try to make something special for my fans, doing something special for myself, and back home and say, "Wow, I make my day because I do my best." That's my goal. That's the message I need to pass in for everybody, for every single person, because that's my responsibility.
What do you think a win over Julio does for your legacy? Your obviously MMA legacy is cemented, but if you beat him in boxing, like you just become one of the best combat sports athletes ever.
I don't know. That's the the opinion for everybody and the fans, not mine. I need to keep straight my focus in my training and do my best in this fight, you know. And of course, me and my team training hard for win this fight, you know.
Obviously, you're used to 4 ounce gloves in MMA. Like, do you think the power is going to be better now that you're using boxing gloves?
Wow, you need to stay ready the whole time, you know, because his MMA gloves is so small. Of course, boxing too, but you know, it's a different sports. You need to stay ready for both. When you go fight, doesn't matter MMA or boxing, you need to ready for both. For doing your best when you go inside the ring or the cage.
Both you guys are pretty durable. Like, is this a fight you think's probably going to go the distance, or do you think you can finish him?
Everything is possible. Everything is possible.
Just a couple more things. You did that interview with your Chael son, and how did that come together? Because you guys used to hate each
Oh,
other.
Chael is an amazing guy, bro. Chael is a is a tough MMA guy, is a tough champion, and I respect Chael a lot. You know, because he's a good man. He's a good father. He's working hard every day for prove the real points about MMA and fighters too. You know, Chael help a lot of fights to make your brand and everything clean. You know, I love Chael.
What like for your legacy, your MMA legacy? Like, are you? Do you think you're already done with MMA, or do you think you're going to have a couple more MMA fights?
Maybe everything is possible. Right now, in this moment in my life, I just keep straight my focus for this fight. After that, maybe I can do anything. Fight jiu-jitsu, gi, no gi, kickboxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, judo. I don't know, but that's my goal right now. Just keep straight my focus for this fight.
Is there any other boxers you'd like to fight?
Wow, we'll see after that. Let's go see.
You fought in like the who's who in MMA. Like now that your career is like wind down to MMA, like what's kind of that one moment in your career that kind of sticks out for you?
Wow, I think it's my first title belt in
Yeah.
Japan in Shoto. That's is a very special moment for me.
Everyone talks about like who's the GOAT in MMA. You're up there. Like, what do you kind of make of that? Because obviously that has to be kind of humbling to hear people talk about how they think you're kind of the best ever.
Wow, I think I do my best. I think I try to pass the good message for every single person. Doesn't matter you fighter or not. Doesn't matter you work, and doesn't matter. I just try to pass the real emotional, the real heart you have for doing something special. That's I try to inspire people. Don't make excuse. Just do it. Do your best you can. Go. You fail, don't worry. Go back, give the 3 or 4 steps back, and start again. Again, again, again. That's the life.
What weight are you guys fighting at? Because Julio's a guy that's been fighting at like in the 160s, 170s throughout his career.
82
80.
kilos.
Okay. You're obviously you're in his home country of Mexico. Like, what do you think that kind of crowd is gonna be like when you walk out?
Wow, I'm very exciting. Everybody talking about this fight here in Mexico. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, especially because I go fight in the same car for Julio Cesar Chavez, the legend. You know, and I try to enjoy. I just pray every day and try to enjoy the every single moment I have in here and I have in my life. And I just push hard my mind, pushing hard my body, pushing hard my heart for make something special for my fans.
Just two more things. Your UFC career ended at the Apex with no fans. Like, how disappointing was that your final fight couldn't be in front of a sold out crowd?
Well, the moment is not prepared for open for big crowd and everything, but I'm happy. I do my best, and I enjoy the moment inside the cage. And of course, the in the good picture, in the amazing picture, in my last fight in UFC I win, but that's the real life. That's the real life. You understand that, and keep going, move up. That's I do right now.
Just last thing, obviously 261, we had Chris Weidman kind of suffer a very similar injury to yourself.
Wow, yeah,
When you saw that,
tough.
what kind of went through your head? Because you've been through that exact
Well,
same
I
thing.
feel I feel sad. I feel the same pain, and I talk to Chris, and I try to give support for Chris because Chris is a good father, is a good man, and this is happen. In the sport, MMA sport, this is happen. Everything is possible.
Did you kind of mention like look at yourself, like you came back from that? Because I know a lot of people thought, man, maybe that's it for Chris
Wow, in the
Weidman.
past, a lot of image in my mind, and wow, it's tough. It's tough. It's not easy.
Do you think he'll come back from that? Because that is a hard injury to come back from.
Absolutely, absolutely. Chris have a good heart and good mind. He's a very strong mind. I believe in Chris back to fight very soon.
All right, well, Anderson, that's all I have for you. Thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you, my friend. Enjoy your day. God bless you.
Yeah, you as well.
Bye.
All right, we're joined by UFC featherweight Dan Ige, who's headlining a card on June 19th. Dan, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. Just hanging out here with the sun. It's a nice hard day of training, but we're done for the day, so it's family time now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you making time for me, but another main event, like after your last fight, you were calling out some of these guys. You called out Korean Zombie. Like, did you expect to get him, or did you think you're going to have to take another fight? Because you're a guy, like, you look at your career, like, you've called out a lot of these guys for a long time, but it's taken you a couple fights to get those big names.
You know what? I kind of had a sense I would get the fight. That's why I asked for it. And the fact that I know he's been looking for a fight, and he even said in some interviews like he was contemplating moving to lightweight. The whole division was tied up, and he even said like when I was matched to face Gavin Tucker, he said I may end up fighting the winner, or Dan Ige if he wins that fight. So I kind of had a feeling, but also that was like it's the perfect fight for me to really push myself into the upper echelon of the division. So yeah, it all worked out.
Did you expect it to be the main event, or did you think it was just going to be on a card? Like, did they kind of give you a heads up? Hey, we're going to do this in main event.
No, I didn't expect that at all. I didn't even ask to be a main event. I just, the fight in general would have been a great opportunity. And I remember, I was up for a contract negotiation, and Sean Shelby called me, and he he put the offer on the table, and it was like literally 2 days before Bam was born. And I was like, I'm totally in. Let me go tell my wife real quick because she's about to give birth, and this is going to be a crazy ride and a crazy adventure. But yeah, it all worked out, man. This is my job. This is what I love, and I'm in this to be a champion. So these are the type of opportunities that they don't just come along every day to fight someone in the top five and to headline a main event.
A bit of redemption too for you after your first main event, just that loss to Calvin Kattar. Now you getting another chance to headline another card and kind of right that wrong.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I don't, the Calvin fight was a great experience for me. I took a lot away from that. I took away confidence in the fact that I can go out there and push 5 rounds, and like I know that I can push harder than I actually did, given the preparation. And now I've had you know, full preparation. The structure in my camp is just on another level, and I feel great everywhere. And I'm excited to go out there and put it, put the test against someone like the Zombie.
Before you get into more of your fight, I just want that 5 rounds against Calvin Kattar. Like, how much does that help you now heading into this one? Because I've talked to multiple fighters when they get into their first main event, like they always know they have the cardio, but it's always a thought in the back of their mind, like, what am I going to feel like when I go into that 4th and 5th round? Now that you know that, like, how much more confidence do you have going into this one?
A ton more confidence, just because like you are right in that fact. Like going into the Calvin fight is something I've never done before, so there is like a a little sense of doubt. Like will McGass think there was no doubt of like winning or losing. It was more the sense like will my gas tank hold up. We both had 4 weeks notice for that fight, so it was like it wasn't a ton of preparation for a 5 round fight. So it was almost like the way I look at it when I look back at that fight and like the way I felt, like it was almost like we were sparring. Um, Even though like he landed some nice shots towards the end in the 5th round that like swelled my eye up, but like the whole fight was just kind of it was almost a sparring pace is the way I look at it. And I remember going back to right after the fight or going into the 5th round, like there was never a time I went back to my corner. I was like, oh man, I'm exhausted. Like I was always in the fight mentally and physically, and but definitely a lot of takeaways from that fight. I definitely know I can push a little bit harder pace, and yeah, just the confidence of going 5 rounds in general.
Korean Zombie, like you really just have to say that name and MMA fans know what you're going to get. You're going to get a fun, entertaining, striking fight. Like, is that kind of what you're expecting this fight to be?
Yeah, I'm in it to fight my fight. I'm willing to strike with him, but I'm going to be the one to mix it up on my terms. Like I'll strike with him on my terms, and I'll wrestle with him on my terms. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's going to be exciting regardless. When I fight on my terms, it's exciting. So yeah, I'm looking to go out there and make it an exciting fight and put on a great performance and make a statement and put on a show for the fans. But I'm going to do it on my terms.
What do you make of his last fight? Because I thought he was going to kind of beat Brian Ortega just because I thought he was the much better striker. When Ortega was out striking him, like that kind of caught me by surprise.
Yeah, I don't take too much away. I actually picked Zombie to win too, so it didn't catch me by surprise. I just, I took into consideration Ortega's long layoff, and I'm sure he was working and training the whole time he was laid off and getting better in that sense. So it wasn't like a big surprise that he was victorious that way and outstruck him. But a fight's a fight, anything can happen. Like I believed I was going to go in there and beat Calvin Kattar, and I thought I was going to go in there and outstrike him, but he had the better range and better timing in that fight. So it's like a fight's a fight. Anything can happen. And yeah, no surprise there, I guess.
Have you seen the betting odds for your fight?
Yeah, I think I'm a slight underdog, and I kind of expected it in the fact that he's number 4 in the world. Just if you base it off the rankings, and he's been a household name for however long, and but I it doesn't really matter for me. I embrace the underdog mindset regardless, even if I'm the favorite or if I'm expected to win. I just I'll find one guy to doubt me, and that'll make me an underdog.
How do you see this fight playing out? Because Korean Zombie, like, he's a guy that can take a lot of damage. He's named the Zombie for a reason. Like, other than him, like, with the Yair Rodriguez elbow at the last second, like Jose Aldo, but that was like his shoulder was out too. Like, he hasn't really gotten finished in his losses.
Yeah, I see that, and I see his durability and his toughness, but I also, you could take damage from certain guys. I don't think you could take damage from me. So the way I see the fight.
You muted yourself.
No, I got a call.
Oh,
Sorry.
there you go.
Yeah, basically the way I see the fight playing out is like I'm 100% prepared to go 5 rounds and put on a grinding pace, but at the I'm gonna be looking for the finish at all times. I don't go out there. I never go out there and predict a finish like I'm gonna knock this guy out in the first round, but I'm gonna be looking to finish him at all times, whether it's standing or on the ground or yeah. I don't know. I'm excited and pumped up for the bout.
If we look at the history of your career, like, you should win this one. You go on 6-fight win streaks, you lose the 7th. The one after that, it's a sub-minute first round finish. That's how your career's gone.
I know I'm not a superstitious guy, but it's pretty funny. Like, I do go on 6-fight win streaks, and then I'll lose one, then I just come back on a crazy rebound. But I'm trying to beat my own record here. I'm looking to make it at least 7, and go from there. But that it's tough, man. It's not easy, fighting in the top 5. And if I go out there and beat the Zombie, that puts me in that, contendership. Pretty much, I don't know. I could earn a number 1 contender fight or even a title shot based on the circumstances. So, like, to go out there, I got to put on win streaks now against the top 5 in the world. So that's the overall goal, and my goal is to be a champion. And it all starts June 19th with Zombie.
Well, that's kind of what I want to touch on. Like, what do you think a win over Zombie does for you? Not even just like in this moment, but your career trajectory. Like, you look at the guys that beat Zombie in the UFC. It's Jose Aldo, one of the best featherweights ever. Yair Rodriguez at the last second. He's a top 3, top 5 featherweight. And Brian Ortega fighting for the belt. Like, if you get past Ortega, like, it seems like you're destined, or it's not Ortega, sorry. If you get past Zombie, like, you seem destined to be getting a title shot eventually.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of why I asked for this fight, because it will put me. It's not. I didn't ask for the fight because it's an easy fight. I asked for the fight because it's a tough fight that's going to break me, into the top 5 in the world. And it's like I want to be a champion so bad, but I have to go out there. I have to beat guys like the Zombie. I have to beat guys like Ortega. I have to be able to beat Volkanovski, who's the champion. I have to beat all these guys, and a big win is going to put me right there. It's going to put me in the mix. It's going to put me in the top. Literally, it could put me a fight away. It could even give me a title shot, depending on with everyone matched up right now with Max and Yair, and depending on how that goes and their performances. Like, you never know. Like, if I go out there and starch the Zombie, like, that could just win me a title shot regardless, because you see it so many times in this company. Like, you might have 2 guys fighting for a number 1 contendership, but like one guy has this lousy performance, and the guy that goes out there and puts on oh my gosh, he just crapped his pants. But the guy that goes out there and puts on that stellar performance is usually the guy that gets rewarded. So I don't have any expectations. I'm gonna go out there, perform, and we'll see what happens.
2 more questions then, so I'll let you go quick.
Yeah, no worries.
Smaller octagon. How do you think that's going to impact the fight?
I think it's to my advantage. There's just less places to go. More, it's gonna make it such a funner fight. I when I fought caterers, obviously in the full size, most of my fights have been in the full size octagon, so there's a lot more space, a lot more room for people to, I guess, run or just move. So the small octagon, it's statistically proven there's more finishes, there's more excitement, and I think it's to my advantage.
You kind of mentioned it there where you think a win could get you a title shot, like especially timing wise. Like you look at Max and Yair fighting middle of July. Volkanovski was saying that September pay-per-view, which is early September. Like I'm not, and obviously that's Ortega. I'm not really sure if Max or Yair would be able to turn around that quickly. Your fight's a month in advance. Like maybe you sneak into that backup role, and if Ortega gets out, like maybe you sneak right in there.
You never know, man. Exactly. Like, and guys could get injured, guys fall out, and these Volkanovski wants to fight. They were supposed to fight back in March. On crappy circumstances with like COVID and everything, and the fight getting rescheduled and going through the Ultimate Fighter. Like, I'm sure he's hungry and itching to fight, and so is Ortega. And all these guys, they haven't fought in forever, but the sport's crazy and it's unpredictable, and you can get injured. And I feel like MMA and this sport is all timing. You got to be in the right place at the right time, and it all starts with a big win. So I have to go out there and get a win and get a nice propel into that top of the division, and we'll see what happens from there. But I 100% I will be ready, if I'm healthy, of course, to step in there, and you never know. I'll be ready.
Just one quickly more. Do you think this is the win that really kind of puts you into the legit contenders in the eyes of the fans? Like, because you're a guy that you do everything well, that I just think you're underrated because you do everything so good. Like, you're not standing out like, oh, look at how good of a striker is. Oh, look how good of a wrestler is. You're just well-rounded where you just kind of get past it, especially in featherweight. Like, everyone talks about Max's striking and all that. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is the win that kind of puts you in that where fans start to respect you a lot more.
I think so too. I had an active career in 2019, 2020, but I never really like you said, I'm an average. I was pretty good everywhere. I wasn't like an outstanding striker, outstanding wrestler, outstanding grappler. I was just a good, tough, gritty fighter who can fight everywhere. And not only that, like, my game has grown so much over this past year, and I didn't get to show too much in my last fight against Gavin Tucker, because it was a one punch KO. But I really improved everywhere. So I'm still that same fighter that's good everywhere, but I'm just better everywhere at everything I do. So I think I will start to get that respect. But at the end of the day, like, I don't care. I don't fight for to get the what is the word I'm trying to say? I don't fight to get like the
praise.
Yeah, the praise from men, like from other men. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, everyone's gonna have an opinion. There's gonna be a guy out there that says like, I'm over. There's people on there, like, you read comments, they're just like stupid. Like, oh, these guys are over. They're calling me and the Korean Zombie overrated. It's like, dude, the Korean Zombie's a legend. I'm a up and coming killer. Like, but you can't take that stuff into like, you can't take it so serious. So I'm just out here doing my thing, man. Doing what I love, doing what God gave me the talents to do, and that's all I can worry about and all I can focus about. I got a little man here. That's what it's all about. My family, my life, and I'm out here just out there trying to put on a good show for the people, put on a good show for my family, make some money, and become a champion.
All right, well, Dan, man, I appreciate the time. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you.
All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Matt Brown, who's back in action June 19th. Matt, how's it going?
Very good.
Obviously, your last fight, I just want to touch on that. Obviously, that was a really fun fight against Carlos Condit. Like, it was a lot more wrestling heavy than I think a lot of people expected. Did that kind of throw you off too? How much grappling was involved in that fight?
No, that was kind of my game plan. I wanted to do a lot more grappling. Yeah, that was was sort of my doing, whether it was the right game plan or not, I don't know. I guess, hindsight's always 2020, but I felt like when when I wanted to, I was able to out grapple him. So, I think it worked out, but the judges didn't see it my way. So,
What was that whole trip like for you heading out there to Fight Island?
man, it was wild, not wild, but it was that's a long flight, it was cool though. I mean, the only thing that wasn't cool was that there was a fight card like on Wednesday, the week after, and so they only had one flight coming back, and it was for both the cards. So we had to stay quarantined in the hotel for the next like 6 days after the fight, or 5 days or whatever it was, 4 days, something like that. So we ended up being in that hotel for, I think, 10 or 11 days straight. And, the same people, as much as I love them all, they get old real quick being stuck in a room with them, and the same food every day gets old. So that was like the only downside of the whole thing. But other than that, it was just a fight trip, it was cool.
Are you glad this fight's just in Vegas then? Not having just a short little flight now for you?
Yeah, I'm happy to fight anywhere, to be honest. But yeah, Vegas is familiar and easy.
Diego Lima, was this a guy you had on your radar?
No, I guess I've never been the type to have any guys on my radar. Have all the guys on my radar, more or less. I just wait for the call and say yes when they call.
You had a ton of notice for this one. Like, I remember this getting like announced like end of February, early March. Like, were you surprised they're giving you that much notice? Because especially in times like this, it seems like they're booking fights on only a couple weeks notice all the time.
Yeah, well, I told him, I said, I need more notice for my fights. I'm older now. I'm not a young buck anymore. So I think that's a big part of for my performance personally. Like, I can't do these 2, 4, 5-week notice fights anymore. Unfortunately, it just isn't the same for me. I have a family and businesses, and of course my age and everything. So there's a lot of factors that play into it, and I have to plan and prep properly nowadays.
How much do you know about Lima? Because he's kind of been around the sport for quite a while now.
I know a lot about him. I coached him when I was with TJ.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Fighter. Yeah. So, and we're friends, man. We hung out some, and I taught him some stuff, showed him a little bit of my game. I know him from, I fought his brother, I think 12 years ago, something like that. So, we kind of, we know each other, and, he's a cool dude, and, I have respect for him. So I think it'd be, I'm happy to get in there and compete with him.
I totally forgot about the tough. How weird will that be then? After you were his coach, you're now fighting him.
Yeah, it'll be strange. Well, then I also coached against him on the ultimate on the finale, because I was with Jesse Taylor. He came out and did his whole camp with me and had me coach him through this whole camp and to prepare for Diego. So yeah, we studied him, and I was emulating Diego for that camp. So I've been around Diego. I know a lot about Diego.
Is that a big help then, just for training camp, just to kind of prepare for him and create the game plan?
I don't know. Sometimes that can be a hindrance too, I think, because then you kind of have certain expectations and you don't know what someone's going to do when you get in there. So, I think the only, I don't know. I don't really think about it, like it's just it's a guy in there with good skills, and we're going to go in and we're going to bang it out. So I try to just kind of keep that stuff on the back burner and go in there and be my best.
How do you see this fight playing out? Because a lot of your wins have come by knockout, and we've seen Lima get knocked out before in the UFC as well.
Yeah. I think I'm a bad style matchup for him. How it ends, I don't know. It could be a decision, could be a knockout, could be a submission. It could be a lot of things, but the way that I feel right now and the way my camp's going and the way everything's coming together, I think I'm going to put on a great performance, man. And I'm just happy that I feel good and my camp's going well. Excuse me. I'm really excited to go in there and I'm on a 2-fight losing streak. So I'm excited to get in there, get back in the winning side of things and move on.
Well, that's kind of what I'm going to touch on. You obviously see the UFC when you hit 3 fights, and a lot of these veterans are letting go. Like they didn't re-sign Woodley, they didn't re-sign Jacare after they're on a losing streak. So, is there any pressure for you to kind of get this win and not be one of those veterans that kind of gets forced out of the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, there's always pressure in every fight. I don't want to put any added pressure on top of I'm going there against the killer that wants to knock my head off. So there's already enough pressure. I'm not going to think about those things, I've made it this far without, letting those things get to me. So I just got to keep on the path, man. And I go in there, I take care of myself. I go in there and perform the way that I should and the way that I can. I don't have to worry about none of that, man. I'll win the fight, no doubt.
Last time we talked, you kind of mentioned how you thought maybe Condit might be your last fight. Like, are you still kind of at that basis where each fight might be your last, or are you going to know before you make the walk, this is my retirement fight?
God, man, I don't know. I feel every fight I end up saying, this is going to be my last one, man. And I've been saying, a lot of people don't even know, like I've been saying that for like 10 years,
Yeah.
Like every time, because you get so deep into training camp and so involved with it. And it's like, God, man, I don't know if I can do this. But then you go in there and fight and you're like, dude, I gotta do this again. This is the best thing ever. I love this. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens.
Are you at least hoping you can get on one of these cards eventually, the pay-per-views in front of fans? Because you're a guy that needs to be in front of the fans instead of the Apex.
God, you're telling me, man. I was so disappointed when I heard it was at the Apex. Like, I don't even know if you might know that. I don't even know if they have bleachers there or anything.
They have little booths. They've had like celebrities in there for the pay-per-views, but it doesn't fit many people. Like maybe 50, 100 at max.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, so I'm not interested in some celebrities watching my fight. I want my boys to come out there. My friends. I want, my daughter's never got to come to my fight. She's 5 years old now. Like my boys, they came when they were 4 for their first fight. So yeah, like I definitely I can't retire until she comes to a live fight.
And maybe in Columbus, because maybe they'll kind of redo that card that got canceled last year.
God, I hope so. Yeah.
Well, would that kind of be the perfect way for you to end your career, is fight back in Columbus and get a win and walk off that way?
Yeah, good call. If it works out that way, that would be a hell of a good send-off, man.
You might be, I don't know for sure, but I think if you beat Diego, I think you might be the first person to beat both the brothers, because I can't really think of another person that's fought both of them.
Yeah, I don't even know if anybody's fought both of them, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're good fighters, man. That's a good feather in your cap. Those are 2 really good fighters right there.
Are you really looking at what's next or what might come next after this fight, or is it just really on Diego and you'll kind of assess your future after that?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with Diego, but yeah, I'll assess my future after. I got a lot of things going on between family and the kids, and my gym's doing great now, and it's getting to that level where it's going to start requiring more of my attention. We're actually going to be building another gym. It's going to be called the Warrior Kids Gym, and it's going to be a kids only gym. The coffee company's getting bigger and bigger all the time. So, I have all these things going on. I'm coaching a lot of fighters now. In the past month, we've had 2 guys win amateur titles. I'm not really working with a lot of high level guys yet. I've always been kind of the type where, there's a couple of, prominent guys that come in and I work with them a little bit, but in terms of real coaching, like I've always wanted to build guys from the ground up, It's cool to take someone that's already good and make them better, help them out, and do things like that. But to me, the ultimate coaching ability is to take someone from the ground up and make them something. So again, I got a couple guys that are about to go pro pretty soon, and I want to start being able to give them a lot more of the attention they deserve. So between everything, like that's going to be the determining factor, right? Is, do I have time to do it?
Your coffee business, how's that going? Because I actually got some. I liked it. It seems like you're always busy.
It's great coffee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The business is going great, actually. I think we're maybe 2 years old now, maybe 3. And yeah, that's a tough business, man. That's lots and lots of coffee companies out there that you're competing with. But like you said, you tried the coffee. Like, we have really good coffee, man. And that's what we focused on, is the quality. It's the same with all the businesses I do. I focus on the quality, and the same with the gym, right? I want just the top quality with everything, and then I believe the sales will come.
That Condit fight was one that was kind of like a fun for the fans, just because you guys are two kind of legends. Are there any other fights like that you like, kind of those bucket list fights that you want to have before your career's up?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, I've fought all the big names pretty much. I wouldn't mind running it back with a couple of guys like Lawler and Cowboy, mainly. That would be my ideal situation, like running it back with one of those guys. Like, I felt like I won the Lawler fight. I know a lot of people or the judges didn't agree, and a lot of people agree with me on that. But and Cowboy, of course, that was the only time I've been like actually knocked out. I've had one other fight where they called it a knockout, but I wasn't knocked out. But the Cowboy, like, he actually like knocked me the hell out, So I'd love to get that one back. I know he's going to 155, and I don't have like a vendetta against him or anything, but just that'd be a personal thing I'd like to do. And I think either one of those fights would be awesome fights for the fans too.
Just last thing, you kind of touched on how you're building up a lot of these fighters as the amateurs. Like, what would it mean if you could kind of build up one of these guys to become champ one day?
Well, that's the plan. Absolutely. And that's the whole point of coaching, is to make a fighter better than you. Right? And that's what I'm trying to do with these guys. I want them to be better fighters. I want to give them what I never had, and a coach that I never had. And I want to make them better than me. So, when I'm completely done competing myself, my only goal as a coach will be to make champion.
All right, well, Matt, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much. And let me know anytime you want some more coffee.
All right, we're joined by UFC heavyweight Aleksei Oleinik. Aleksei, how's it going?
I'm good, thank you. Hello, everybody.
Another fight booked. Was this the time frame you wanted?
Say it again.
Was this when you wanted to return?
Yes, of course, sometime. Maybe 10th year more. Maybe 10 years more.
Yeah. With the, was June when you were looking to fight?
I looking fight like every time. I looking for win and for good fight. I can show. I will show everything what I can do in my age, in my big experience.
Your opponent in Sergey Spivak, how much do you know about him?
Not a lot, because he's not so. He fight not so long time, and he have not so much times. But of course he have a good record. He big, he young, and he is angry. This is important, of course. But I think I can do many things too.
What do you take away from your last two fights?
Always we take away something. Sometime technique, sometime experience, sometime we take away something in your mind for the next camp, next fight. I take away, of course, I take away something, but I doesn't want now explain what say.
How do you see this fight playing out?
Excuse me, say it again.
How do you think you beat Spivak?
I have a big experience. Of course, my biggest what is my biggest
Advantage.
I think yes, this is one of the my I can't explain. My experience is this my armor, one of my biggest armor, and I want to use this armor in this fight and previous fight and the next fight.
Do you think you can submit him?
I will try.
Is that the plan for every fight, is to get it to the ground?
No, not always. Sometimes I no playing work on the ground. Sometimes yes, of course I play. It depends of my opponent and the picture every game. Sometimes we can't wait something from my opponent. Sometimes we will.
What do you think a win over Sergey does for you?
Excuse me.
Where does a win put you in the division?
Not understand. Wait.
In the rankings, where do you think a win puts you?
You know I have 75 fights. I fight in I don't know maybe 25 30 different promotions. Sometimes this is very important. Sometimes you waiting for cup, for medal, for first place, for belt, champion's belt. Sometimes you doesn't wait nothing. Now I don't wait nothing on the ranking and other. I know this guy young, he angry, he strong, he tough, and he doesn't have now a big ranking. This maybe not very good, but this not main important things in our game. In our game more important my head and my warrior's way. This more important for me now for this fight. That's all.
Do you think you're fighting for your job? Like, do you think a loss you'd get released?
And say it again, please.
With a loss, do you think the UFC would cut you?
I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Sometimes UFC cut fighters after one loss. Sometimes UFC doesn't cut after 3, 4, 5 loss in a row. It depends. I don't know. It depends not from me. It depends from UFC matchmakers, and I have 5 bonuses of the night. And I think I'm not the worst fighter in heavyweight, but of course, sorry, shit sometimes happens. Nobody knows. This happens with you or with your friend or with other guys.
How's training at ATT?
I'm very happy training in ATT because many guys, good level, big level, and very friendly atmosphere in gym, but very professional too. This is very important for professional fighters.
Is there anyone you want to fight before your career's over?
Excuse me, and again, repeat.
Is there someone you want to fight before your career's over?
No understand.
Is there a person you want to fight before your career's up?
Is there a person? I'm not understand again.
Your career, you fought a lot of top guys. Like, is there a guy you want to fight?
Yes, of course.
Who are they?
I fight with many tough guys. I fight with Jeff Moss. I fight with Mark Hunt. I fight with Mirko Filipovic. I fight with Alistair Overeem. I fight with Fabricio Verdum. And other many cool guys. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But if you fight with a really legend, this is very important for me. I am honored these guys. They fight with me in one cage, and this is very important. I'm very honored with this legend of mixed martial arts.
Are there any other legends you want to fight?
Of course, I will.
Any names in particular, or whoever they offer?
No, I'm always ask UFC for the biggest name, for the for more dangerous, for more scary, for more powerful guys, for more ranking. But sometimes we got this, sometimes we don't got this.
Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for the time. Have a good one.
You too.
Yep.